The oldest university and the bank in the world were founded in this country. Here's where people first started to build roads, and the major cultural revolution occurred right in this country too. Today, this country is widely famous for the most luxuries and amazing sport cars and prestigious brand. It is a fact that Italy is popular among many things, starting from coffee drinks, pizza, pasta, and wine, all the way to technology, art, and sport. So let's figure out what exactly made this country great, why Italy would never be a world leader, and why do many people worry about its economy? Here's how Italy looks from a side. Strong, united country, standing third population in Europe right after Germany and France. Considering Russia nor the UK not really count for European countries. There are 58 million people living in Italy, and they claim to have 92% Italian citizens. But if you look at it more closely, you will actually see 20 absolutely different areas. Let's start with economics. There are very rich people living in Milan. Those figures beat the Japanese GDP per capita. But what about Sicily? It's close to Barbados in the Caribbean region of North America. You can now clearly see the difference, huh? But that's not it. Italy is further divided into 107 provinces, which is nearly 8,000 communes. The commune of Rome is both the largest and the most populated, with 2.7 million people, whereas the smallest one is Monterone, just 31 miles away from Milan. Guess how many people live there? 33. And the thing is, each commune has its own mayor, police, and rules. What's more, Italians have the thing called campanilismo, meaning a sense of pride for one's hometown or bell tower. For instance, this oil field, Tempa Rossa, is one of the largest in Italy that was founded like 35 years ago. But it was allowed to be used only 10 years ago in 2013. And here's why. Apart from all scandals related to corruption, those in charge of it had to collect something like 400 official approvals because there are 4 levels of power in Italy: national, regional, provincial, and municipal. And even if the government is highly interested in your project and wants to go ahead with it, you will still need to get along with locals to get their okay, because each commune is something like an individual republic. Here's another example. British Gas invested over 250 million euros in the construction of a giant gas terminal in Italy. But after waiting 11 years, the British company abandoned a project that could have helped Italy diversify its LNG supplies, a milestone for creating a gas hub. For 11 years, the company couldn't pursue Italians' 4 power levels of the greatness of this project. You might wonder, how the hell did that happen? Why do communes have so much power? Well, check out what this country looked like 2 centuries ago. All regions were mainly independent. There were kingdoms, republics, and great duchies. Looks very similar to modern Yugoslavia. Each country is independent, yet they're all kind of in constant conflict or waiting mood. What happened with Italy later is that after World War II, Italians accepted the law to unite and have one country and one flag. Yet they're changing its government every 13 months or so, taking into account that there was 70 in 78 years. Did you know that? On the other hand, Italy is all about incredible individuality. I mean, all those worldwide popular Italian brands, all of them operate as family businesses. That's impressive, right? Do you know who is the wealthiest man in Italy? Giovanni Ferrero. And he's $39 billion. But he was not the one founding his company. He inherited from his father, Michele Ferrero, while he got it from his father, who invented a cream of hazelnuts and cacao right after World War II. Overall, 85% of enterprises in Italy are family businesses. For instance, Fiat belongs to the Agnelli family, and Luxottica sells popular sunglasses and manufactures frames for many brands. This monopoly was created by Leonardo Del Vecchio, and after he passed away 3 years ago, his 6 children inherited this business. Interesting fact, out of the 100 oldest companies in the world, 15 are Italians. What's the problem with parents passing successful enterprises to their children? Good thing, it means that there have been stable regulations for private property for centuries in Italy. Still, on the other hand, such companies hardly invest in any studies and research in the 21st century. It is crucial because it's not just about designing a new pair of shoes or average cars, but inventing something that would be pumping the country's development. Actually, there was a time when both investments and innovations were booming in Italy, and it was called the Italian economic miracle. Right after World War II and just before the oil crisis in 1974, the Italian economy was going strong by almost 6% each year. A little slower than Japan, but still. Why? Because Italy was one to benefit from martial law big time. This is when European countries could use American credits to reconstruct their economies. Italian workforce moved from suburbs to cities because of those large investments in production. Fiat, for instance, mass-produced compact-sized and affordable cars, Fiat Nova. This design was so popular that it was actually reproduced in 2007. Ferrari, Alfa Romeo, Lamborghini and Ducati were booming too. Check out my video about Lamborghini, you'll love it. What about fashion, you ask? Aldo Gucci opened the very first Gucci brand in Manhattan in 1952. He was the first to enter the US market and was followed by Valentino, Versace, Fendi and so on. But Italy was known not just for cars and fashion. Indesit was producing house appliances, Barilla was famous for its pasta, and Pirelli, with its tires, that was known worldwide. To top up this list, meet Callisto Tanzi, the most famous milkman in history. He was the one to start using Tetra Pak, killing bacteria in milk by heating it and then quickly cooling it down, so milk could last for 1-2 months instead of 3 days. He was also the one to sell his milk in boxes of perfect shapes, the ones we still use. He used to own 148 factories in 31 countries, that was huge. Yet, his company went bankrupt in 2003 with a 14 billion euro debt. Callisto Tanzi managed to obtain 800 million euros, and because of that, he was sentenced to 18 years in prison. But he actually was there for something like 2 years only, but that's another story. Let me know if you want to know that in more detail. So, the most successful Italian companies were founded during the economic miracle, but they are not leading the world charts anymore. Why is that? Check out this Global Innovation Index. Italy is among the top 30, and it's not even in the top 10 if we take all European countries. Even though the Italian economy has been ranked third in Europe for such a long time, it also comes second in export because Italy was always orientated on export, or simply put, on selling high-quality products overseas for good deals. But as I said before, there is no much investment in innovation and technology. So this pushes Italy out of business. Once famous Indesit washing machines were replaced by Korean Samsung, and Fiat is no longer the most wanted and convenient car. There was a time in history when Italy was planning to dominate the world. Enrico Mattei was appointed the president of an energy company called Eni. In those years, Anglo-Saxon companies were producing 85–90% of oil in the world, and Mattei wanted to change that. Under his direction, Eni negotiated important oil concessions in the Middle East, as well as significant trade agreement with the Soviet Union, which helped break the oligopoly of the Seven Sisters that dominated the mid-20th century oil industry. Before him, oil companies used to obtain a 50% of profits, while he introduced the principle whereby the country that owned exploited oil reserves received a 75% of the profits. Obviously, everyone wanted to work with him now. But then there was an airplane crash, and Mattei was on board. He didn't make it. The cause of the accident has been a mystery. One victim said that he noticed an explosion, meaning that there could have been a bomb, but he later took his words back. The journalist who was handling an independent investigation disappeared after some time, so everyone forgot about this story. To follow up on this, later in 1995, Mattei's remains were exhumated, and metal debris deformed by an explosion was found in the bones. So it was clear that he was murdered. Yet, Italy never made it to the world domination in the oil industry. One man could have changed the whole story, and he was not even a politician. But let's say we are talking about politics. Who comes to your mind when you think of Italy? Remember I told you that the government in Italy changed 70 times in the last 78 years? So can you really name anyone you remember? Probably only 2 people come to mind: Benito Mussolini and Silvio Berlusconi. Both of them, by the way, took advantage of Italians' desire to be one united country. Mussolini, at the beginning of his career, was seen a lot working among people in the field. Yet those people were the ones to capture him and his mistress in 1943 and strung them up by the heels outside a service station in Milan. What about Berlusconi? Did you know that he actually named his political party Forza Italia, as if he was cheering up for Italy at a soccer game, you know? His career only started in 1994, and he won the elections right away with that party and its slogan. Although at first he served for only 11 months, he was elected for over 8 years in total. During those years, Italy first started drowning in corruption. In the World Corruption Perception Index, Italy has been receiving lower and lower scores, meaning that perceived levels of public sector corruption have been getting only worse. Berlusconi has been often accused of many things. He was involved in many controversies and over 20 court cases during his political career, including being sentenced to 4 years imprisonment and 5-year ban from public office. Under his leadership, laws were adjusted, especially in the area of financial fraud and decrease of statute of limitation. And even though these laws were adjusted kind of for him and his close ones, they were applicable to the rest of the country. So people could get involved in corrupt deals with no fear of justice, because there was none. Do you know how harmful corruption is to the country's economy and quality of life? Let's imagine there is a need for a new road that's worth, let's say, $100 million. But to get that contract, companies need to bribe government officials with 20% of that money. This means that this road would now be constructed with only $18 million. If it's lucky, because usually the bribe is far greater than 20%. So, this road would probably turn out pretty bad, using cheap materials and labor. Of course, people would complain about it, and there would be another contract for another $100 million to reconstruct it. But where to get this extra money? Right, increase taxes. Once taxes are increased, people tend to shorten their other expenditures, shops, food, and other things that basically affect the economy of the country. Because once people spend less, it means there's less money in the pool and greater money in the public purse, at least in our example. Yeah. Another thing is that corruption gets rid of competition. I mean, imagine there is a company that could have built a perfect road for 100 million, or maybe even for less. But this company would have never seen this contract coming because it was not okay with bribes. So this perfect company probably would not survive without a job, right? Well, according to the Italian Court of Audit, the sum of money caused by corruption could have been better used to cover all those interest in Italy's huge public debt, which is almost 144% of GDP. And that's insane. Italy is among the top 5 countries in public debt. It's also not the easiest country to open up a business. I mean, check out this chart of countries called Ease of Doing Business Rankings. Italy comes 58 between Kenya and Chile. Whereas the US in the 6th place. Nice, huh? What about credit lines, taxes, ease of contracts, or ease of getting permission for construction? Italy at the bottom of the list among Morocco and Palestine and Gaza. Many blame the Mafia for this failure. But honestly, I thought the Mafia didn't even exist anymore. Well, I was wrong. There are 3 oldest and most powerful organizations. The 'Ndrangheta from Calabria, currently considered among the most powerful criminal organizations in the world, the Cosa Nostra from Sicily, and the Camorra, based in Campania. They're all from historically poor southern regions, and they still do some shady business, drugs, weapons, and so on. They're not just bands, they have procedures, laws, and policies to follow. Remember I said that there are 4 levels of power in Italy? Well, Mafia sometimes help people to work them through. An interesting fact is that Mafia as a word first appeared in 1865. That was the time when separated Italy got together for the first time, but the country was not united. So strong and wealthy northern regions sent their forces to the south to keep them quiet. Here's when the Mafias organized, to stand and fight for themselves. Anyhow, Italy today is one of the strongest European countries with its ancient history and heritage, wealthy, very well-dressed people, and poverty on the other side of the street. Italy's history is impressive, yet I feel like its achievements in the past might no longer keep shadowing current drama and this country's poor economic performance. What do you think of it all? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and share this video to support my channel. See you soon.